Hey, we're talking about how to talk. Have you noticed it's almost impossible to talk to each other? People are on opposite sides, whether it's political or even casual talk. People snap. I'm going to be giving you some tips on speaking truth. When you want to communicate, when you want to talk, when you want to share, what's a healthy way? What's the better way to communicate? We're looking at Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. And it says, there's a person who speaks rashly or wild. A person who speaks rashly or out of control. They're very emotional, irrational, kind of like a sword fight. There are people who, when they talk, they're always in a fight. And kind of imagine a sword fight. So there's a person who, when they talk, they're going into battle. They're always got like a chip on their shoulder. So there's that type of person. And then Proverbs chapter 12:18 says, but there's a person who uses their tongue wise and brings healing. So there's a type of a person who talks under control, who's thoughtful, helpful, not in a fight, no chip on their shoulder. So Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18 is basically saying there's a horrible way to talk, and then there's a healthy way to talk. So notice, first off, the words that come out of your mouth can be wild, or they can be under control. There's a person who speaks rashly, like the thrusts of a sword, but the person whose tongue is wise brings healing. Proverbs 12:18. So what you have in Proverbs 12:18 is a description of basically two types of communicators. The wild one, who's always in a fight, and then the person who's under control, not in a fight, but uses words in a healthy way. Not to hurt, not to maim, not to wound, but to help. Let me give you some practical observations on tips for speaking truth. Number one, what comes out of your mouth can be wild, meaning you're not thinking. It's just you're spewing. So words that come out of your mouth should be tame, managed, strategic, targeted. Words that come out of your mouth should be purposeful to help, not hurt. So wild words cut. If you are sarcastic, if you like to put people down, if you like to stir the pot, if you like to be antagonistic, you're probably going to be seen as a fighter. So make sure that, practically speaking, The words that you use or how quickly you speak are not wild, but managed. There's a person who speaks rashly or wild, out of control. They're like they're in a sword fight. They're or trying to win constantly. And then Proverbs 12:18 says, "But the tongue of the wise brings healing." Your words need to be managed. I'm encouraging you in this walk and talk. No wild talking. Managed communication. Thoughtful. So when you speak, whenever you communicate, casually or publicly or in a debate, manage every word. Control, in other words. Not rash, not wild, not impulsive. And the way you do that is simply engage your brain. Don't just spew, don't just thrust, don't just yell, but think deeply about what you're about to say. Manage your words. In other words, have a conversation in your head. Talk to yourself. As a matter of fact, recently I read a journal about a scientific study that said the person who manages themselves by talking to themselves. Self-management, good self-management, is when we have a conversation with ourselves. Before a word comes out of your mouth, talk to yourself. Have a conversation. Now you can do this in split seconds. You can think this through, and you can delay speaking the truth. But when you're talking to someone, let me give you a practical suggestion. Remember, the other person could be having the same challenges that you have, out of control a little bit, not managing their words well. They could have the same problem that you have. They're a little wild and reckless with their words. So take control, manage, talk to yourself. Another practical suggestion: go slow when you communicate. Use the power of listening. Let the other person share whatever challenges they have, whatever they're trying to communicate. Let them share. And that gives you time to listen. So if you want to be in control and not wild when you're speaking the truth, you got to be patient. Slow it down. Allow time for the other person to share their thoughts. Practical suggestion to you: make sure that you give yourself and the people around you not just respect, not just patience, but respect. Take time to honor. Take time to care for each other in a very special way. I'm encouraging you to show the other person that you care. That occurs by listening well, Many individuals go through life and they're just wanting to talk. They're just wanting to express their ideas. So the idea of going slow and listening is almost impossible. I'm encouraging you in this walk and talk. You can be great at communicating. You can speak truth by simply listening. Take every thought captive. In other words, don't let it come out. Whatever thought that you have, whatever word, whatever idea, allow yourself to think about it. Evaluate. Many times we speak, but we don't even know what's going to come out of our mouth. If you want to speak truth, the Bible is simply saying, don't be wild. You're not in a sword fight. Remember that you should be in control, and whatever comes out of your mouth, it should be wise, not foolish. Practical, listen well, be under control, self-manage, don't say it until you thought about it. Give the other person lots of time to talk. And all along, you're engaging, you're thinking, you're evaluating. What should you say? Let me give you another practical observation. One person who communicates, they communicate to hurt. They speak wild, they speak rashly, like the thrust of a sword. So they're trying to communicate to hurt. And then the other person, according to Proverbs 12:18, is healing. Wise communication, wise words, thoughtful words to bring healing. So can I just encourage you in this Walk and Talk 306 on April 16th? Don't try to injure. Don't try to beat up the other person with your words. Try to bring healing. Speaking the truth. You're not trying to hurt the other individual. So to a degree, there has to be sensitivity and thoughtfulness when you speak, respect, but make sure that the purpose of your communication is not to win a battle. It's not to defeat the other person. It's not to be right. The purpose of communication, according to Proverbs 12:18 and according to the Bible, is to bring healing. Some people would say, yeah, but I gotta beat them up first before they can heal. I'm encouraging you in this walk and talk that the wild sword fight in talking, doing battle with your words, that sarcasm, that cutting, that hateful communication is not the way you should be speaking the truth. Speak the truth under control with patience. Listen well. Don't try to hurt. Don't try to destroy. Don't try to beat up the other person. Engage, dialogue, but think through your thoughts. Your goal is to bring healing. Another practical observation. Sometimes when we communicate, your goal should be just to listen. not to explain, not to tell, not to solve a problem, not to point out error, but just listen. And that's probably more an art than it is a science. Sometimes it's difficult to know when you should be listening or talking. And probably the easiest way is just simply to say, am I listening? Do you want a response? But be patient. Another observation, a great tip on speaking truth is show respect, but let's make sure that behind that respect is love. You really love the person. That's why the respect is large. Care for the people that you're trying to speak the truth with. Truly care. The other person has fears. The other person has challenges. The other person has hurts. The other person has a history, has a story. When you're speaking truth, remember that the end game is healing. Proverbs 12:18 says, when you speak, you can be wild, like in a sword fight, trying to hurt the other person, or you can be under control, wise, bringing healing. The truth sets us free, but not if you bleed the other person to death in a sword fight. Not if you're trying to injure, not if you're trying to destroy, not if you're trying to conquer the other person. Love, respect comes from God. Healing comes from God. Destruction doesn't. Many times we go through life and that chip on the shoulder, that bitterness, that anger is right there on the surface. And I'm encouraging you in this walk and talk, use your words to bring healing, hope. Let truth set the other person free because they sense you really care. You really love. You show the love of Jesus for the other person. You're patient. You honor them. You listen well. And the other person will figure it out that you really do care. I'm encouraging you in this walk and talk. You can talk to each other, even people that you disagree with, whatever the subject is. But make sure you're not wild and rash. Make sure you don't pick up the sword. Make sure you're not in a gun battle. Every day of our lives, we use our words, we speak, we talk. And every day, we have the chance to share the truth about the Bible, the values in the Bible, about Jesus, about God. Every day we get to represent Jesus. Every day we get to lift up what the Bible says. And this Proverbs 12:18 is saying, don't be wild. Don't be in a sword fight. control your words. Don't try to hurt. Try to bring about healing. One more practical tip on speaking truth. Just remember, everyone is broken. Everyone has pain right there on the surface or right below the surface. And it doesn't matter who you are, young or old. It doesn't matter whether you got a lot of money or no money. It doesn't matter whether you're married or single. Everybody's broken. Everybody experiences life. And we have the chance to help with our words, bring healing. So just back up. You're broken. They're broken. And probably they're in a sword fight. And they're picking up their sword. And they're going to use their words to try to hurt you. I'm encouraging you, don't pick up your sword. Be patient. Listen well. Make sure that you're controlling your words. You're managing. You're under control. You're not emotional. You're not irrational. And your goal in communicating is you're going to speak truth, but you're going to be thoughtful. You're going to be managing your words, and your words are going to be purposeful. In this walk and talk, you should be talking to each other. Don't be silent. Sometimes you ask permission. Am I listening? Would you like my opinion? Or are we just listening? Every day is not a sword fight. I would suggest to you, life should rarely be a sword fight. And Proverbs 12:18 is saying, there are people who use their words and they pick up a sword and they try to hurt you. And the Bible is simply saying, your words should bring healing, not damage. The goal in communicating is speaking the truth to help the other person and you work through your own brokenness or their brokenness. This is Walk and Talk 306. It's April 16th. We've been looking at Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. We invite you to worship with us at First Baptist Church, Tempe, Arizona, 4525 South McClintock. 9:30 every Sunday morning and 11 o'clock for worship and Bible classes throughout the week. We invite you to manage, control your words, and don't be in a sword fight, and bring healing to people. And remember, sometimes you just have to be a great listener, but show respect, be thoughtful, be strategic with your words. If you'd like to help from any one of our pastors, you can contact the church, 480-839-0926. You can also check out the church online at the website, fbc-tempe.org. Every day is a great day to speak truth, but not with a sword. You don't want to try to cut people. You don't want to try to injure people. You're not in a sword fight. Put the sword down, but speak the truth, as the Bible says, in kindness and thoughtfulness. Blessings on you.